Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Matthew Dickerson. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk technology.
Hello, all you cruisers on the techno highway of the future. It's your time to shift your gear into relax mode, kick back and settle in for another episode of Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Now, in today's episode, we're taking a look into soft robots that are so delicate they can even walk on water. Now, we're checking out the latest in-game controllers. All you need, folks, is a set of AirPods these days. And we're all about synthetics with hyperrealism. I'm talking 3D printed skin, and it bleeds, folks. So, more on that later. First, let me call to the microphone our resident tech expert, Matthew Dickerson. Hey, Matthew, come to the microphone. How's your week been, Matt?
Mate, yeah, good, thanks. And I want to talk a little bit about the scientific method this week. Now, I'm talking to someone...
One of my favourite things.
Exactly right. I thought you would be right up your alley. And people would often think the scientific method would be utilised by scientists, which sure it is.
You would hope.
You would hope so. But I love the idea that we should just be using it in lots of things that we do around the house and what we do in business, whatever it might be, because the concept is brilliant. And I'm using it this week for a little thing I'm doing. And let me go back a few steps. There have been times I've used the process, if you like, where, and I suppose you can give me the exact steps, but I would kind of see it as you ask a question, you form a hypothesis,
yes.
You might do an experiment, get some data, and then analyse that and maybe try and do it again and make sure it's repeatable. It's kind of my very loose phrasing of the scientific method.
Yeah, I want to go in deeper into that because there's an issue with conspiracy theories right now that people feel that, okay, scientists want to find something, so they go looking for it and they get it, and so that's not what it's about. But anyway.
And in some ways that could be correct because they want to find an answer, so they go asking the question. And
yeah,
then
but it's
find
about
an
how
answer.
you set up and approach your hypothesis. So Karl Popper, a scientific philosopher, came up with this idea that in order to be true science, you have to create an experiment that is going to prove your hypothesis wrong.
Right.
And if you can't prove it wrong, then it's got to be true. Right?
Yeah.
So you've actually got to work against yourself.
Yes.
And setting that up is a tricky thing. You've got to be completely objective, right? And so the objectiveness of science is its strength, but yeah, people who are speaking out against or climate change deniers and anti-vaxxers and whatnot feel like scientists are headed down a path and they want to find something, so they'll go looking for it and they'll find it. And that's what the current health administration in the States has done too, haven't they?
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
look, but I digress. You were telling a story.
So one of the things I know we did with the kids at one stage there, I enjoy sparkling water and the kids enjoy sparkling water. And one of the kids was talking about the fact that there was one sparkling water that was better than the others.
Yeah.
And I wasn't convinced this was the outcome. So, of course, set up a double-blind test. We ended up buying
Double-blind, excellent.
5 different sparkling waters we bought, and then in addition to our sparkling water tap at home and line them up, someone who set them up didn't know which one of those, so the double-blind side of it.
And did you know which one they were?
So I was the person setting them up, so someone else was
someone
giving
else
it to
was
me.
conducting. Good.
So I didn't know which one was which.
Good.
I set them all up for the kids. They'd come along and taste them all, and they'd rank them all, and of course the best sparkling water of all of those was random. It was not the one that they said, I know that this one definitely is the best sparkling water on the market. So when you actually conduct experiments with that, it becomes quite interesting. So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm about to go on a charity bike ride next week. It's a long bike ride. We're doing 160 kilometres a day was kind of the maximum a day. So it's a decent sort of bicycle ride. And a couple of years ago, I bought some little wind blockers that you put on your helmet to block the wind that's hitting you in the face,
right?
Which is really good from a safety perspective. But on a ride like this, it's crucial because when you're riding for 160 kilometres a day, that's many hours in the saddle. It can get a little bit tedious.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want a bit of distraction and there's people around you. So you want to talk to them. And if you've got wind blowing in your ears, it's a bit, what was that again? I missed that. It's a bit boring having a conversation like that. So you want to be able to hear well. So these wind blockers are great. They block the wind hitting your face, but you can still hear because you're not putting something in your ear and such. And so there's some other ones that came out in the market, a different brand of the one that I use, and they were claiming to be better than the first brand. I went, well, I want the best one because I want to have the best possible outcome.
Yep.
So I tried a very poor experiment. I'm embarrassed to talk about it. I went for a ride. I bought one of the new ones. I went one on one ear with the new one on the other.
Were you
with the
looking
old
for
one.
confirmation bias here? So the Karl Popper's falsification.
I was hoping it would be bleedingly obvious.
Right.
So I went one
Okay.
ear with one and the other ear with the other. I couldn't tell the difference at all. So now
there you go.
I'm setting up an experiment where I'm going to use my smartphone with its audio tool, and I'm going to set up my helmet on a fake sort of head-shaped device and then set up my phone behind each ear or each little different device in front of a fan to get an exact reading on which is going to be the best. So I like the idea that even something as simple as putting a little wind blocker on your helmet, using the scientific method, you should get the best outcome.
Yes.
Now, I haven't got the outcome yet. I've got to do the experiment this weekend. I ride in a couple of days' time, so I'll do it before I ride. In a week's time, I'll tell you whether it was a worthwhile experiment.
You could have also gotten a job with Mythbusters.
That's
Yeah,
right.
almost guaranteed.
No, but there are times the only
This is
criticism-
exactly what they do. Yeah,
The only criticism I had of the Mythbusters, I used to love watching the show when the originals were there, is sometimes they kind of just would do something and it didn't work. And then they went, okay, that's the conclusion. I go, no, there's more you can do.
Yeah.
And I
And
think,
apparently, I used to get people emailing them all the time.
oh, did they?
Yeah,
Saying
and
that.
in the end, they're just trying to make a TV show.
That's right. And I
And
think
so if you go too deep into something, then it gets a bit boring. And that's what people hate about scientists, is they can get a bit boring.
they can get a bit boring, but you get the right answer, James. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But I think the thing with Mythbusters, I guarantee there were times when I went, but hold on, you should just do that part. But I'm sure the producer was there going, right, we've got enough for the 30-minute show.
Yes, that's
Job
it.
done.
Just-
No, but
that's
what
all
about
you need.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
But again, having been critical of those, I think they introduced some scientific process to a lot of people, which is good.
Well,
It
and
made it
that's
more
the
popular.
thing. Yeah. And the scientific method is a wonderful thing. I love the objectivity of it, and I love that. We're trying to prove ourselves wrong.
Yeah.
And there's enough people out there saying, picking holes in other people's work to be able to keep it, keep the integrity in it.
Yeah.
And but still, people just label scientists and go, "Oh, you're just looking for a thing, and you found it, and congratulations, but
Yeah.
you're leading us all astray."
And my kids got very bored. Even the equipment we're using right now.
Oh, they got bored with you with the sparkling water.
Well, no, they didn't
Dad,
board with that
stop
one.
it.
That was okay. But they
Okay.
got bored with things that I would do. So the microphones that we're using now, the podcasting equipment we're using right now, I tried a number of different models, brands, etc. And I'd do recordings with them. And then I'd take to the kids and I'd say, right, you guys have no idea about these different 4 recordings I've got, which equipment was on, tell me which one sounds best. So it's like, oh, Dad, another one? Like, I need the right answer, okay?
Do we have to be a test audience? Yeah. All right. Well, we better get busy with today's stories. So, first cab off the rank. AI doesn't always get it right, and that's no headline, even if it may catch one or two of us by surprise at least. But usually the errors that AI make are non-fatal, at least I say. They may cost you or your job, may cost you your job, but that no one's been killed yet, is what I'm trying to say. With that in mind, it may be pertinent to choose a decent map over AI if, say, you're planning a trek through the Andes Mountains, for example, Matt?
A whole range of things. And I've got to tell you a little story about this. We've used AI to work out a travel itinerary, and it was pretty good, but I'll get to the but in a moment. But a lot of people are using AI for their travel advice for their itinerary. In fact, it's getting to the point now 30% of international travellers are using AI tools to plan out their itinerary. Now, on the plus side, we had a trip to Japan recently, and we went from point A, we had to be in a certain location at a point in time, and then, right, there's our flight home a week later, and in between there, we wanted to see Mount Fuji and some other things along the way. So we gave it some basic parameters and said, go for it, plan out the trip. And so it did plan out this trip, which looked wonderful. The only minor thing was we ended up in a place called the Aizu Marriott Hotel in Shuzenji. And when we got there, we thought we'd been either transported back in time, several decades, or we thought there'd been an outbreak of something and everyone else was wiped out. Because this
right.
was it
was like a Holocaust movie.
It felt like that.
Apocalypse movie, maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not Holocaust. That's,
That's
apocalypse.
wrong thing.
That's right. Because when we got there, and again, when we read the itinerary and we looked at where we were going, it sounded fantastic. And this place sounded like this wonderful mountain resort and, gee, fantastic. I think we were the only guests, 128 rooms. we seemed like we were the only guests there.
It's a bit like The Shining.
Oh, it was a bit freaky. And we started walking around and we'd see tennis courts, 10 tennis courts laid out.
Yeah.
Then there was an indoor sports arena, all these badminton. We ended up playing badminton. There was myself, my wife, one of our kids there. So we're playing, the two of us just playing badminton in this huge arena that 100 people could have been playing badminton in. There was a zip line there.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, was this a training camp for the 1964 Olympics? Like it felt like that sort of thing that had been used once and then put
Did
away.
they have staff there? Was there one staff member there to check you in and that was all?
Well, we got checked in, yes. And then as we started walking around the resort, we couldn't see anyone else anywhere.
Wow.
We got to the zip line and we found a person who was manning the zip line, and I think he was pretty excited because he saw a customer. We came along, so can you strap us in?
How many times do you want to have a go on this?
Try and keep coming back up to the top. So it was quite interesting. Now, I did a bit of research on it, and it was all the go in 1976. It was built in 76, and retreats, corporate retreats, were all the go in Japan at the time. So they built this entire resort on top of this mountain. It's quite difficult to get to, so that people would go to this and they'd discover themselves, they'd go off and they'd play their games and they'd get their corporate bonding because we'll put you in teams together on a tennis court or whatever. Right. So wonderful that. But by the kind of late 80s, that was all gone. That was, don't use it anymore. And so it started dwindling numbers, and it's only just recently been changed over to a Marriott, and they're trying to build up again as a resort. But in the meantime, it's got no people there. And if I had have talked to a travel agent about that, they probably would have gone, go back there in 10 years' time when it's happening again. But at the moment, probably not. But I read some of the stuff in there, and you read the marketing material, and it sounds impressive. Mountain resort with all these facilities and all these features, but it just seemed to lack a bit of vibe. But it had a lot of those rust concrete stains. When you see that beautiful new concrete 30 years ago and there's been a bit of rust and rain, it's just got that brown stain. Had lots of that around the place, which made me feel like it hadn't been maintained for 30 years. So getting on the zip line was a bit scary. But in other ones, some other stories, so that was my personal experience, but there were some tourists in Peru, and they jumped in a taxi, said, take me to this particular location because we're going to see the sacred canyon of Humantay.
So that sounds to me like you're trekking through mountains if you're going to find a canyon. Is that not right?
It could be right.
I just saw Peru and I saw canyon, and I thought...
and you're doing what AI probably did. It went, I'll just make a few guesses here.
Let's just skip through it.
And apparently the taxi driver explained that it didn't exist. And the tourist said, no, I've got it here. See, bit of paper printed out, it's here. I'm going there. And so $250 later and taxi fare there and back, they didn't see Sacred Canyon of Humantay. They just saw some mountains that everyone else could see from basically anywhere around that same area. Okay. So not great. Some other tourists wanted to see the Eiffel Tower in Beijing, which, maybe someone's got a little model of one, I'm not sure.
Right.
But
you end up at someone's back room of their house.
That's right. Sure, you go to Las Vegas, not Las Vegas, Las Vegas, you've got Eiffel Tower, a fake Eiffel Tower, but they make it pretty obvious it's not the real Eiffel Tower. But things like this and other ones that I thought were quite interesting where the context. So, for example, there was an example where they said go for a 4,000-metre walk. You go, 4-kilometre walk, let's go for a nice 4-kilometre walk before breakfast. The only problem was it was a 4,000-metre mountain climb. A vertical ascent of 4,000 metres, which I probably don't want to do before breakfast.
So there's a real risk of loss of life here. Can I share with you, in 1997, I went with my brother who lives in Indonesia, and hello, Martin, if you're out there. We went hiking and reading The Lonely Planet. We saw that we could climb this volcano, and it was good to go and climb it in the dark so you could see the sun come up.
Right.
Now, it's suggested that you didn't need a guide if you're an experienced climber. And I took some talking him into getting a guide. We had to pay a lot of money for a guide, but we got a guide. And if we didn't, we were lost in the jungle. We were dead for all money. And I'm just thinking if AI had been around, definitely he would have called on that and he would have gone, AI reckons we can do it by ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. We're experienced.
We would have been on the news.
Yeah, that's right, for all the wrong reasons. So it's a bit of a worry, but it's interesting because the Google CEO said that hallucinations may just be an inherent feature of AI systems. So isn't it lovely when you get someone who's a CEO of a company just talking about a major issue like sending people to places without guides, for example, a major issue like that is a feature.
Yeah.
It's not a problem, it's a feature.
Yeah.
So I would say to people, use AI for your travel itinerary and then just check it. Or what we do now is we use AI to do an initial draft and then go to our travel agent and say, here you go, here's what we think we've come up
Right,
with.
okay.
What do you recommend there? Sure, this looks good. Oh, no, but this one here, I'd go somewhere different. Then we go, okay, we'll take the human advice in conjunction with the AI advice. So
Good idea. Good idea. And you've employed someone as well.
That's right, exactly right. Given someone some work to do. So there hasn't been any examples yet of people losing life. They've lost some money, definitely. But it wouldn't be that big a jump to say someone could be sent down somewhere completely wrong.
Climbing a volcano in the middle of the night.
That's right. And then you wake up, get up in the morning and look around and go, where are we?
And we've been eaten by a Sumatran tiger.
That's right. Well, at least you wouldn't complain about the experience, would you? So keep an eye on it. It's fascinating where we go. And it's fascinating how much AI just is okay with making up stuff. It's like a naughty kid. I don't know the answer. I'll just give him an answer.
There's no repercussions for me.
That's right.
Joysticks and control pads may soon become a thing of the past for avid gamers. As tech becomes smarter and smarter, engineers are looking to new and inventive ways for humans to interact with computers. Like a pair of AirPods. Matt, AirPods can operate a simulated motorbike now.
This is very cool because my kids give me a hard time. I'm being harsh on my kids today. My kids give me a hard time.
Well, we're all a bit hard on our families today, so.
Possibly, yeah. MotoGP, we've talked about it before. I'm a bit of a fan. I used to race motorbikes when I was a kid, so you've kind of got it in your blood. But I do sit on the couch, and when I'm watching, because the camera action's so good now, and I do find myself leaning into corners a little bit and just try, and the kids go, Dad, you can just sit still. It doesn't make any difference.
We're all victims of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, and it's just a bit of a human quirk. But now, but there's one game out there that uses your AirPods with the spatial audio feature. And as you move your head, that controls the game. It's a motorbike racing game that controls the motorbike. So you lean to the left and right with your head, and that moves the motorbike left and the right. You put your head forward, it brakes. You put your head back, it accelerates. Now, it's not perfect. It's not the best control I've ever seen in the world so far.
It's a start.
It's a start, that's right. Now, Apple never designed it this way. And one thing I'm always amazed about is the amount of technology that's built into something so small.
Yeah.
Just think of the battery. The battery alone, you go back a few years, you would have had to strap a AA somewhere on you to be able to listen to audio for a few hours. So I think, most of that AirPod or any of the earbuds that are out there is taken with battery. But then you've also got to fit in, a speaker of some description and a microphone of some description because you can have a two-way conversation. And then it's got to have some sort of wireless controllers in there because it's got to be able to communicate via Bluetooth to your device. And then hold on, Apple said, why don't we stick an accelerometer and a gyroscope in there as well, because you might need those. Now, the reason they put those in is for their spatial audio. So the idea is while you're listening to something, if you move your head around, it's as if you're there in the concert. It does sound pretty good, but it was never designed to be a controller. And that's what this particular person's done, or this game developer has said, well, let's take that concept of spatial audio and I know when you're moving your head, so let's use that to control a game. So if you want to play with it, it's called Ride Pods Race with Head. It's a iOS game or an iPad iOS game as well. And essentially, you put your AirPods on, log into the game with your AirPods connected, and then move your head around. Now, it's pretty basic. It's got basically a straight road and you've got traffic on there and you're avoiding the traffic, accelerating, decelerating side to side. Yeah. So it's not a complicated track. It's not a Formula One or a MotoGP type track because the accuracy probably isn't there yet. That's the thing. Like, how cool is that? So one of the things that came to my mind is I've played with various VR headsets and you've got VR headsets that track your motion control, that type of thing as well. But they're big, clunky units that you put all over your head and they've got much bigger controllers and sensors in them. So, wow, imagine just being able to stick some little AirPods in and then control a game. And then with some of the modern glasses that are coming out now, maybe you can see your VR version of a game in your modern glasses. Yeah, you got your AirPods on, so you're sitting there on the train on the way to work and you're just moving your head around up and down, playing a game that no one else can see, and people just think, that guy, that looks a bit strange.
Weird. Yeah,
that's right.
We'll give him a wide berth.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a pretty cool concept, I think. And I just think a whole range of things. Gaming is where a lot of development happens. But then why not controlling other things? Maybe if you've got mobility issues, maybe if you've got legs that aren't working properly and you're in a wheelchair, using your head movements to move around side to side and up and down to control that.
Wow.
Just a whole range of possibilities. So it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, amazing. AI keeps steamrolling ahead like a needy kelpie dog. It's busting out of its skin to help you with the next job, so much so that ChatGPT is no longer happy to sit and wait for the next command. It's now geared up to start offering you suggestions for how it can help you again and again. Matt, I'm all for a little bit of help every now and then, but if the butler starts ringing his own bell, well, I can see that getting pretty old pretty quickly. Yeah?
I like that. The butler ringing his own bell. That's good.
What about now? What do you need now? Can I get you a drink? No, I'll call you when I'm...
Wait till I ring the bell. No, I've rang the bell for you.
Yeah, so ChatGPT is now coming up with ideas for you.
This is not going to help. We've talked about stories before, where people feel like they're in an individual one-on-one relationship with chat. I see you next week and I remember that you've got a wife and I remember your wife's name. Well, you must be friends with me. ChatGPT can remember those things as well, and gee, that must be my friend. But worse, now I noticed after just having a sneaky little look at your calendar and your emails and your questions that you asked on chat yesterday that you might be interested in these topics, James. So here's some interesting little tidbits for you to keep you going today. So you absolutely would feel like you're in an ongoing one-on-one individualised relationship because it knows what I did yesterday or the day before.
And
so
if you keep saying no thank you, then are you worried then that they're going to just turn on you and say, well, stuff you then, I'm not even going to help you.
That's right. When you do ask something, go and ask Gemini. So it's ChatGPT Pulse is what it's called. A proactive research feature is what it's known as. And basically it'll generate overnight on what you did the day before. So the next morning you wake up to some things that are related to what you did yesterday. Now, I know we've talked before about we see ads. So I'm out looking for a new blue widget. So I go searching on that. And the next, I'm getting served up ads for the next 3 or 4 weeks of blue widgets. And we've talked about it before. I want to be able to say, I bought it, okay? I've already made that purchase. Until I bought it, fine, keep giving me the ads. But I've now bought it. And this is going to be a bit the same. You might be looking for things yesterday, asking questions yesterday, and then it gives you stuff related to that from yesterday. You say, but I know the answer. I got it yesterday. Don't keep giving me that information. But I think this is all about just trying to get ChatGPT involved in your daily life, just making it a part of your normal process. You wake up in the morning, you get your coffee, and you sit down with your friend ChatGPT and chat about yesterday and the things that happened yesterday. I know, it's a bit like that, isn't it? Couldn't have put it better myself.
Oh, dear.
So keep an eye out for that one.
But where do we go? What's the next step after this? With ChatGPT going, hey, we haven't talked for a little while.
Well, maybe it'll start telling us what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Anticipatory AI. How about that one? Start working on that one, folks. Get that one cracking. So, yeah, the digital daily briefing, it's a strange concept. I haven't actually tried it yet. I'm a bit scared to try it because I'm a bit scared that I might get too addicted to it.
Now, did you ever wonder how doctors actually train for surgery? I mean, no one wants to be a first. But for every surgeon that is out there, there had to be a first, right? From the first incision to the last stitch, we all just want whoever is in charge to do our surgery to do a nice, clean job. Well, however it was done in the past, surgical training has kicked up a gear now with this new 3D printed skin that bleeds when cut. Matt, share all the gory details with us.
Can we just go and buy some at a toy store or something?
It up. It's going to be like a serial killer's delight, isn't it?
I was thinking the good side, but I didn't go down that dark path. One of the things that I spoke to a doctor recently and they were showing me some of the equipment that they get now as a young medical student, all the various parts of the body that are made, as in plastic versions of it, to help them go through their medical degree. And this doctor told me at the beginning of his medical degree, he was assigned a body. And that body...
Like a cadaver.
A cadaver, that's right. That body was one... Yeah, not a lot, sorry, I should be clearer there. I knew what I meant, being not a live body, but sorry, to be accurate there, a body that's no longer someone alive, it's someone that had donated their body to medical science.
Yeah.
And that was your body to keep to your entire degree. Yeah. So you didn't take it home with you. You left it at the university, but you had that. And then when they would work on different parts or cutting up different parts, they do that. Now, there's a couple of problems with that now. that gives you kind of one chance, right? Everyone, we're going to go and operate, do an appendectomy now, and you get one chance at it, and that's it for your body. You can't go and steal
Yeah, but
someone
the other
else's.
thing is that live bodies make a mess when they bleed.
That's right, a bit different.
A cadaver doesn't bleed.
That's right. So a bit different there, but also it's a bit of a hassle to keep that one body through your entire degree.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And then go back to it, and you might want to practice things over and over. So there are various substitutes, physical substitutes for different parts of the body now, but this is the next level where some University of Minnesota Twin Cities researchers have come up with this 3D printed skin, and it's done in layers, and it's also done for different parts of the body, because you and I as non-doctors can probably work out that you cut into a knee, it might be different to cutting into your chest, for example.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So the skin is going to be different. So they build the layers with microcapsules in between the layers as they print them,
amazing.
that has got things that ooze out. It could be blood, it could be pus, it could be things that are like the real part of the body.
Yeah, so a real body's going to have abscesses and things like
All
that
sorts
too.
of fun
and so
stuff.
you've got to navigate stuff, and you pop one of those, and next thing you know, you've got this infection that's just spreading through. Yeah, right, yeah.
So all those things. So they're using it for training. They're using it for training not just on different body parts, but getting to the point where they're going to 3D print individual's part. So if they're about to operate on someone, right, we've got to operate on your elbow, call it.
Right.
And so we've got to make sure that we analyse your skin for your age, your body type, etc. And we'll go and 3D print the same skin to practice on, to know when we get
have
into
a
your real body.
rehearsal.
Yeah, that's right. Because on the real body, you kind of only get the one chance. So
Yeah, that's right. You've
let's
got to
have a
get it
go.
right the first time.
Yeah, so the training for medical students is getting better and better.
Yeah.
And this sort of concept here, it just makes it, from your perspective, you said before, the first one, hey, this is my first appendectomy.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Oh, really, yeah.
Can you do it to someone else first? So the idea would be you could practice as many times as you like, get it right, keep refining that, and make sure that you are spot on. Now, go further than that. Can we get to the stage where you could start to replace that, a skin graft, for example, someone's had a burn? Is it good enough for that? Not at this stage. It's really about practicing, training, etc. But, gee, how far are we away before we start printing those and then using those where the skin is as close as possible to your real skin?
Well, also, not only the skin, but you could have the organs as well, with blood vessels through those as well. You can 3D print those. I'm going to jump a couple of steps ahead here, and just, you could be doing a full rehearsal of a particularly tricky op.
Yeah. So you could do that, but commercially available replaceable body parts as part of this whole concept that they're moving down 3D printing, they say a decade is the estimation. So 2035, you need that new heart, new kidney, I don't know, whatever, and you go in and they say, here's one we just printed yesterday, and they drop that in and away they go. So pretty fascinating where they're going.
Amazing.
We're going to keep living longer and longer, aren't we? 3D print my new brain, that might be the challenge.
Now, this next story's got Inspector Gadget written all over it. For some, an umbrella is an accessory that stamps one's personal style in the same way that a swish handbag or swanky pair of shoes might. For others, an umbrella is a painful but unavoidable rainy day necessity, big and clunky and super inconvenient. Imagine, though, if you could fold it all up into a small space smaller than your smartphone. You heard me right, folks. An umbrella that's big enough to keep you properly dry, but it still fits discreetly into any of your standard pockets on any of your clothes. Matt, Inspector Gadget never had it so good.
He didn't have it so good. They could cheat a little bit with Inspector Gadget. I feel like not everything fitted in his hat like that. But there's a company called Simp Design, S-I-M-P Design, and their concept is to make things that are practical, stylish and joyful is the tag they had, but basically take things that we need and see how we can utilise them in better ways. And we've got some pretty good materials now we can fold in all sorts of different ways. One product they've already got out there is called the Flexi Pro Backpack, which doubles as a hanging wardrobe. So you use it as your backpack during the day, and at night time it's your hanging wardrobe. Don't know what you do with your clothes during the day when you take your backpack off and you drop them on the ground, but they to have this kind of concept where they'll fold things around in different shapes. And so you're quite right, the new SI unit for volume is smartphone. So this is the equivalent of one smartphone in size folded up, and then when you unfold it, it becomes a 90 centimetre umbrella. Not quite.
Yeah,
the
it's not a
recommended
golf
standard.
umbrella.
No, it's not. The recommended standard for good coverage is 94 centimetres.
Ah,
So 90
okay.
centimetres, not quite there, but not bad.
Yeah.
I do wonder how well it goes in the wind, because we know when we get our normal umbrella, whatever it is, and we get it there on a windy day, it's going to flip over back the front. So can it stop that? If it can stop that, I'm impressed with it so far.
I've got to assume that it hasn't got a stem that you, like with the hook on the end that you hold onto, that it might have a little handle that you hold it above your head maybe, but...
Maybe it's got a extendable handle type thing.
Oh, how is that going to get to the size of your phone?
Exactly right.
I'm blown away, folks.
That's right.
This
Now,
is
the weight is
crazy.
also impressive, not so much for the weight, but the measurement unit in one of the articles that I read about how we measure the weight now. So the new SI standard for weight is 173.9 grams for the actual umbrella fold or either size, but the standard they're using is not grams, because that would be too obvious. 3 Snickers bars is the new standard.
Okay.
So based on that, a Snickers bar is a bit less than 60 grams apparently.
Yeah.
So,
And 3 Snickers bars are bigger than my phone.
well, there you go. So it's probably a bit not great for the volume, only good for the weight of it. So don't use Snickers bars for SI volume, only for
Okay.
SI weight. Okay. So we've got something that small can unfold, and part of the concept here is that we know material science is the future, getting the right materials. Now, they've used for this mainly aluminium alloy and stainless steel, which,
right.
yeah, I was pretty impressed with that
Wow.
too. But then they've also got a quick dry material, which is 80% recycled content. The idea here is that it doesn't get very wet, because imagine if it was very wet, when it folded back up, you can imagine all that
Yeah.
water's got to go somewhere.
go
That would
somewhere,
increase
yeah.
the volume and weight, maybe 4 Snickers
Yeah,
bars.
so it's particularly water repellent.
Yeah. So quite impressive. But I do like the idea that we're just taking things that can fold up into small sizes and make them incredibly useful, because we can manifest rain. We know that, because all you've got to do is, if you say, looks like it might rain today.
I'm going to wash my car.
Well, that's another one in 2 ways now. I was thinking of the umbrella. If I don't take my umbrella with me,
Yes.
I know it's going to rain. And when it rains, you go, look, I manifested that. And if you do take your umbrella, it doesn't rain. So you're right. You manifested it not raining. Or washing the car could be another manifestation as well.
Sorry to spoil that one, yeah.
That's all right. So it could be just one of those things you just leave in the pocket of a pair of shorts, leave in the glove box of your car. I mean,
Yeah.
what a cool little concept.
Very cool. Now, no doubt, tile tracker users would swear by the peace of mind that they get from their tile trackers. Just that ease of tracking luggage or lack of frustration in losing keys and wallets. There's comfort knowing that you'll always find these things easily. But it may be unsettling for you to learn, however, that a team of university boffins found that some tile tracker models were not actually encrypted, leaving their users worryingly open to being tracked by other people. Matt, it's quite worrying to think that someone might be using your device to stalk you.
It's very worrying, and I am a bit of a fan of tile, although I've moved over to AirTags now. I remember maybe 2014, I want to say, the tiles came out, and the Christmas present I gave to all of our kids and my wife was a bunch of tiles. They weren't that excited, but they did. They did. It was exactly, you were there.
You can put it in things.
Well, they did. They put it in their teddy bears. They put it in various toys they had. They put it in their Lego boxes. I don't know how much they would lose their Lego box, but also they eventually, took them a couple of years, but eventually went, that wasn't such a bad present, Dad. But the problem with tile, of course, was when we were very new in getting tiles, it would rely on our phones being nearby, not the wider network of people with the Tile app. That's become better now, because there's about 88 million people worldwide that are using the Tile app now. So that's a bit better, because it relies, for you to track your device somewhere away from you, it relies on another device somewhere having the same Tile app. The main reason, probably myself and many people have gone to AirTags now, is that it relies on an iPhone or an iPad somewhere nearby. And given the fact there's more than 1 billion of those devices around the world, 1 billion
aren't too bad.
Yeah, 1 billion is more than 88 million. So I kind of go down that path. But we've also talked before about the stalking or anti-stalking capabilities of things like AirTags. If you've got an AirTag with you that's not yours, or it's with you for a certain period of time, you'll get a warning on your phone that says, we've detected an AirTag with you that's not yours. oh, what's being put in my car, my handbag, whatever, because we have seen some incidents, unfortunately, where domestic violence incidents have occurred where people have been stalking them and they've been using these devices. The interesting part about Tile is that you're not going to get those warnings, but more importantly, you might be able to have someone track you and you've got no knowledge of that whatsoever. And there's a couple of issues here, and this is what these university researchers found. One thing is that the information is sent unencrypted. The unique ID is sent unencrypted. That seems like a bad idea in the modern world we live in. Now, what Tile say is that they rotate their unique ID every 15 minutes. So you can track me now, 15 minutes later, you've got to work out my new unique ID. That might take you a bit of time to work there. Oh, I've got it again now. So that's kind of their defense. But the mistake they make, in my opinion, is that they also, when they transmit the unique ID, they transmit the MAC address. Now, I'm going to drill down on a MAC address a little bit here. So MAC address, MAC stands for Media Access Control. Essentially, everything that's connected to a network has got a MAC address. In the old days, you'd have a network card, an Ethernet network card had its MAC address, its unique MAC address. But as we've expanded all these things that are connected on these networks, every single device out there that's connected has got a unique MAC address. Now, you can start to work out what company has got those, because you get companies assign different prefixes in the MAC address. The MAC address is a 48-bit number where it's got basically 6 pairs of hexadecimal code.
Right.
You think that's not too bad because that gives you about 280 trillion different addresses, not quite that many because some are reserved, but just in round numbers, 280 trillion. So that means every person on Earth could have 34,000 MAC addresses. So you go, well, that's all right. But each individual device has got a unique one. So you don't keep rotating different MAC addresses for that tile. So once someone learns your MAC address, they can then go, well, I know that's James's MAC address on that tile.
Yep.
I don't care if the unique ID changes because I can always bring it back to that MAC address, and that MAC address is sent unencrypted. So that seems to be a bit of a red flag to me for the security. Now in 2014, or I think Tile was probably released the year before, say 2013, we didn't have the same issues with hackers and stalking and people using these devices in bad ways. But now we jump forward 12 years and absolutely these are issues that you must consider. So,
and a lot of people think, oh, well, why would anyone want to stalk me? There are some people who have got good reason, but then there are a lot of people who, that think to themselves, oh, yeah, no one really cares about me. And they're right until someone does. You might think, like DV is the worst case scenario. When I read one stat that said that 40% of domestic violence victims have had some experience of stalking in some way. And that might be on the partner having something on their phone. It might be with these sort of AirTags, tiles, etc. But some sort of stalking, which is pretty scary. So you think, well, I'm not in a DV situation at the moment, so no one's going to be worried about me. And I'm not worth tens of billions of dollars, so someone doesn't really care where I am to come and rob me or whatever. But there's a whole range of reasons people might want to stalk where you are. And just some person starts just showing an interest in you and you're trying to shake them or at least put a bit of distance between you, but that distance is prevented because they're employing some, and all of a sudden you realise you're in a situation.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's where you really want to make sure the tools that you're using. So this is not a anti-advertisement against Tile. I hope it's a bit of a wake-up call to Tile that now it's been revealed that, yes, you could have someone track where anyone is on the Tile network. Maybe you should change your technology ever so slightly. That's it's an important wake-up call because this is the modern world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, soft robotic technology is all about creating machines from flexible, deformable materials as opposed to hard plastics and metal. Soft robotics tends to take inspiration from biology, and up until now, methods of producing the often fragile materials required impossibly delicate processes, which often resulted in failure. But engineers can be a stubborn lot, and some clever cookies have developed a new system that's been so successful, their soft robots can even walk on water, like those little water striders you see on ponds, Matt. Yeah,
and they're pretty cool. Walking on water, you get this impression of a human walking across water. You go, wow, how cool is that? It's not quite that impressive. Like that. That's right. Yeah. But you've got devices, small devices, and the video of them looks a bit random because you watch the video and there's these little devices that kind of jump across the water and you go, well, what's the use of that? How's that going to be of any use to anyone? But they can be directed and they can use a couple of different things. You can use infrared power or infrared energy to direct them in different directions, forward, back, left, right, etc. They might get to the stage where they'll be able to sustain enough weight that could have some sort of very small power source on the device itself and then direct it. And then you start to go, well, that's great, but how is that going to help me in any way, shape or form, having a little device just go across water? Now, of course, if you can scale that, and again, it's all about that surface area that you can scale it to and what you can fit on there, then you might be able to use it in, for example, disaster recovery, maybe flood zones, maybe oil spill cleanups, for example, where you might be able to get some of these robotics in. And robotics, we have this image of a robot being a humanoid robot, but robotics is really any autonomous type device that can move around and do things that are of some use to us. So we could even get things that are ultra thin, flexible and wearable medical sensors, for example, and use robotics, soft robotics in that way. So the whole soft robotics field is going to explode. By the year 2030, they say it'll be worth $12 billion. Wow. So research at the early stages where they see a little thing walk across water, go, yeah, big deal, mate, that sounds like
party trick.
Yeah, that's about as far as it goes. But getting to the point where we could do something with that, maybe water samples, for example. You get a soft robot to go across and sample the water and then transmit back what the water quality is like. Again, maybe in a floodwater situation where there might be disease in water. Once we get these technologies, we start to go, oh, now we've got that. Oh, yeah, we could do this.
Yeah,
that's right.
And you could send them through pipes and stuff like that to be able to detect leaks or to, I reckon the sky's the limit on that.
The sky is the limit and the ocean is the limit as well, I suppose. So, but no, it's quite fascinating where we're going. But go and have a look at a video. Just search for any video that you say soft robotics and you'll see things that look like they're just random little actions across water, but you get to see that they actually can direct them across water.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nuclear medicine scans allow highly accurate diagnostics, but are quite expensive because of the technology required to detect and translate the gamma rays that are emitted there. But Matt, Perovskite crystal technology sounds like it's a bit hippie, but this new tech may make these scans a lot cheaper. What are the ins and outs of Perovskite crystal tech?
We've talked about Perovskite before with solar panels, and they've been quite useful in getting better energy production out of solar panels. So I was quite fascinated when I saw Perovskite with nuclear medicine. I went, hold on, what's going on here? How's that work? At the moment, you've got detectors, so nuclear medicine detectors, that are using cadmium zinc telluride, CZT, or sodium iodide. Now, the minor issue here is that CZT sensors are in the hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars range. And when you go to a hospital and you look at some of the equipment and the machines that go bing and they look very expensive, and you go, how could that machine cost $8 million or $15 million, whatever the hospital quotes you for that new machine they've got? They're very impressed with the new bit of technology. And you think, how could it cost that much? But when you start to talk about a sensor on that machine being worth $1 million, you start to think, wow, it doesn't take much more technology there to start to build up to millions of dollars. The good part about this, if so far, early days, but with the perovskite-based detectors, two things. The crystals themselves, perovskites, are much cheaper than, say, CZT. So you go, well, that's good, but they do as good a job because, for example, the sodium iodide sensors are cheaper than CZT, but they're not quite as good. The resolution isn't quite as good. The perovskite sensors are cheaper, but they're actually more sensitive than CZT. So
they're just better in every regard.
In every regard. And it gets better than that because not only can they give you a more detailed image, but because they're more sensitive, the human that's actually having some sort of nuclear isotype, I assume.
Yeah. So there's got to be something to give off the gamma rays there to be detected.
And you don't want to have too much of that being injected into your bloodstream. So you can have less of the actual nuclear isotype injected in the first place because the sensors are more sensitive. So less in terms of what you need to put into the human, more in terms of the detection capabilities and better resolution. So you're right, in every aspect you look at it, absolutely better. We seem to be able to produce perovskites reasonably easily. We seem to be okay at doing that now. It's really just a matter of basically progressing the detectors to get to the stage where we'll see machines in our local nuclear medicine place, our local place we go to for scans, that'll have some of
So you
these
just
sensors
need
in
these
place.
companies to take it up.
Well, they will take it up, because if someone says to me, you can have this older technology for 10 million or this newer technology for 5 million, if I'm that company, I go, I'll go the new one, thanks.
Yeah.
It sounds good. But medical imaging, I mean, I think we're quite clever in what we do with medical imaging now, but there is so much growth potential in medical imaging,
For sure.
and get a better look at what's happening inside our bodies.
Now, if you're into extreme action and love to share the experience with anyone who will sit still long enough to watch, then you probably already have yourself a GoPro. The question is, though, does your GoPro have 8K resolution with 360 degrees of capture? If not, then you might want to grab yourself a GoPro Max 2 and get straight onto your mountain bike, or go base jumping or kite surfing or bungee boarding to capture the most extreme experience. Matt, you've already got one on order, haven't you?
Well, I do like my GoPros, and I've got a couple of them. And the most recent use I have for some GoPros was detecting your favourite animal, the magpie.
Oh,
and so I put 2 GoPros on my helmet, and I put another one facing forward, so you could see the Maggie coming in at me and then coming around from behind. And what I discovered from that was quite interesting, because I always thought that the Maggie was hitting my helmet with its body or with its claws, but they are vicious. I know you're not a fan of them. They are using their beak.
Vindictive and just nasty.
And this is what when I watched my GoPro footage, I saw as the magpie was coming in, then the beak opens up, and it's actually getting my helmet, literally biting bits out of my helmet as it goes. So I thought, great footage there. I had one recently attack me in the ribs. I need to put some GoPros down low as it came in to attack my kind of kidneys and ribs from the side. But one of the problems with a GoPro, with any camera that you might set up, is you've got to decide, do I want to have the forward-facing footage or the rear-facing footage, or do I want to see my face and see how scared I am going on this ride, or do I want to see the ride itself? So
there are some classic videos of people who put it on their own faces.
That's right.
Now,
this
hilarious.
new GoPro camera solves all those problems for us, because it just takes 360-degree action videos.
Yeah.
And I just think that's great. So when you look at it, it looks like a camera with a front, or a device, if you like, with a front camera and a back camera. But they're clever enough with both of those cameras to basically stitch together a full 360-degree view.
Yeah.
And essentially you can then see what this incredible ride you're on and the reaction of you, the human, on this ride all at the same time. And I thought that was fantastic. The 8K is good as well, because most of the time, we've talked about it before, we can't see 8K unless we're really close to it. It doesn't matter. But when you've got 8K, that means you can then cut into or zoom into a bit of footage at something at a much greater level of detail, but still, say, for example, retain 4K. So I can pick bits out of that 8K footage and then still have it at very high resolution.
So you can see that magpie's tongue licking your helmet as it's...
No, licking its lips as it's coming to get me on the helmet. So that's pretty impressive. GoPro have done a very good job of creating a niche. In the past, we would just grab a camera and we go for a ride on our bike, or we jump out of a plane or whatever, and we'd take some photos or some videos. But GoPro said, let's create a niche around that. So I think they've done a very good job. In this one, they've still done all the normal things you expect. Waterproof to 5 meters, resist snow, dirt. It can handle high speed. It can handle being shaken around, as you are in many of these different action sports that you're doing, and still give you a reasonably stable footage. It's not perfect. I've done it with mountain bikes, for example, and sometimes you still get some little warping of the image as it's bouncing over bumps and jumps, that type of thing. But they're still pretty good. They've got good slow-mo options. You can still do 4K at 3 times slow-mo, so essentially 100 frames per second. So you're still getting pretty impressive footage out of that. And
that's amazing.
Again, this whole concept of the 360-degree images, I love that. Just photos as well, 29-megapixel photos at 360 degrees. So get that photo just the right time when you're jumping off things or doing things. Although some people tell me now they've given up on photos because trying to get the right capture, the right frame is too hard. They just do videos, and the videos are high enough resolution, they'll pick the one frame they want, and that's their photo. And I went, no, that's not a bad idea. So it's just one of those things, and I sound like I'm giving a plug for GoPro. I'm not. It's no cash for comment here. But there are other manufacturers out there that do something similar, but GoPro just seems to have captured that market.
Be in the front at this stage.
Yeah, that's right. So 360-degree, Yeah, I can hardly wait to see the next time I go magpie filming. I've got the full view of all the magpies. I'll see the ones laughing at me while I'm being attacked, and I'll see the ones coming in with their claw open. Oh, dear.
Oh, what a sport that is. And that's all we have for you today, folks. We have only seconds before they pull the pin and this bouncy castle studio deflates to the ground. Thanks for another cracking Tech Talk, Matt.
I'm off to play some more ride pods and to see how accurate I can get my AirPods going with my ride pod action.
See if you can weave in and out of that traffic.
Yeah, not get cleaned up by a truck like I did last time.
And thank you one and all for tuning in this week to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Tech Talk is put together with fully flexible and rotatable joints to give you a truly lifelike experience. I'm your host, James Eddy, wishing you a happy and productive week ahead. We'll be back again next week with another lineup of the biggest stories from around the world of technology. Until then, take care and we'll see you when we see you.